Night City is home to countless different cars, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. From sleek American muscle cars, to vans you could kidnap someone with, to vans you could kidnap a lot of someone's with. In this series, I'm going to discuss the different makes and models that you can find swarming around Night City. Today, we're discussing a manufacturer that represents the most elite members of society. The people who drive these vehicles have long surpassed being blue bloods, and likely have pure, gold-infused cyber fluid running through their veins. These vehicles represent what you can own in Night City if the only obstacle you face is what car looks most expensive in the driveway of your North Oak mansion. There aren't many brands in Night City that represent the elite members of society the way that Rayfield does. Rayfield is a British luxury manufacturer known for their cars and their AVs. In this video, I'll overview the two models of Rayfields that you can find roaming around Night City. We'll take a quick but detailed look at the interiors, exteriors, function, and even the inspirations for these vehicles. The first car we'll look at is the king of performance in Night City, and thus, it has no rivals. The Rayfield Caliburn is a new luxury hypercar in Night City. The Caliburn's tight and smooth ride quality can convince you into thinking this is just a comfortable cruiser. That is, until you step on the gas and experience all 1,660 horsepower. One of the first things you'll notice about any Rayfield is the lack of any windows. This is a privacy feature enabled by Rayfield's bespoke crystal dome technology. The car replaces conventional windows with interior displays, giving the driver and passenger complete and total privacy. The Caliburn has an ultra-luxurious interior. It has a unique layout, and it has quilted leather that looks more expensive than most people's yearly salary. The Caliburn takes inspiration from Bugatti's modern hypercars like the Devo and the Chiron Supersport, sharing their wide and elliptical bullet-like shape. Rayfield's logo is reminiscent of Bentley, which does denote their British identity. The sharp and aggressive intakes and aero kit make this car look like it's going about 300 miles per hour while it's standing still. The Caliburn features a small storage area up front, and it hides its monstrous engine under the bonnet in the back. The so-called Mercmobile is an all-black variant of the Caliburn that the player can find. It's an obvious homage to the Batmobile. Driving the Caliburn is like trying to ride a very oblivious wild stallion, which doesn't quite realize that it's being ridden yet. You get the thrill of your life, moving faster than you ever have, up until it realizes it's being controlled by a puny human and decides to buck you off. In the Caliburn's case, this often results in the rear end kicking out, causing you to slide at about 130 miles per hour into the nearest pedestrians. For some people, once they obtain a Caliburn, it's probably the only car they'll want to drive, because it's fast, luxurious, and just iconic. Driving the Caliburn delivers a very unique feeling of superiority, knowing that there's not a single car on the road that could outperform you. The Caliburn's outstanding profile makes it a car that requires few words because it so easily speaks for itself. The Aerondight is Rayfield's long-bodied Grand Touring flagship. Unlike the Caliburn, the Aerondight isn't focused on being the fastest car on the road. While at 950 horsepower, it's certainly no slouch, the Aerondight is made to be the ultimate expression of luxury. Its practicality, nearly non-existent, but its presence, unmistakable, unmatched. The Aerondight is a stunning vehicle. It feels a bit like if you were to take the exaggerated shape of open-wheeled 30s and 40s cars and wrap them in the sleek body lines of the most beautiful cars of the 50s. Then on top of that, you transpose it onto this futuristic high-tech automobile. If retrofuturism is the aesthetic of what people in the past thought the future would look like, the Aerondight is sort of like the inverse, future retroism. It's an expression of what people in the future think the cars of the past should have looked like. The idea of the Aerondight reminds me a lot of the real-world company Morgan. Morgan is a company with a long history, and they're actually known well for their iconic three-wheeled cars. However, Morgan is also known for their vintage styling. Other car companies moved forward with styling trends, always trying to stick with the times and make something that looks new. Morgan, on the other hand, has always had a distinct loyalty to old-world beauty. Their cars are evocative of other British style icons like Austin Healey and Rolls-Royce, except they are truly just Morgans. Because Morgans have always looked this way. The car that the Aerondight most reminds me of, besides Red Skull's car from Captain America, is a prototype called the Morgan SP1. It shares the massive air-gulping grille as well as the dramatically beautiful fender arches. And while the silhouette isn't a one-for-one, you can definitely see that the idea and the shape is very much the same. This shape can also be seen in vintage, ultra-valuable Bugattis, which are probably the real origin for it. But the voluptuous fenders wrapped around a monolithic engine bay can be found in other vintage cars like Duesenbergs, Packards, Bentleys, and Rolls-Royces. These are ostensibly villain cars, ones that you could picture gangsters or James Bond antagonists riding around in. The interior is dramatic, unique. It's somehow both impractical and purposeful. It's senseless, but you almost wouldn't have it any other way. None of these shapes or materials really have any place in a car interior, and yet they look like they're meant to be there. I can't get over the handles on the sides of the steering yoke. They almost look like they belong on the bottom of a beautiful ceremonial dagger. The more recent version of the Aerondight, the Guinevere, has a slightly different interior, but I think it's actually a step down from the other models. It loses the wood, the gold, the quilted leather, and just feels lesser. This car shouldn't feel sporty, it should feel one of a kind. Because the Aerondight's not a car, it's a statement. Well, actually, it's a car too, so how is it to drive? Driving the Aerondight feels a bit like driving a maglev train on the road. The car is so long and the ride is so smooth that it kind of feels like it's ready to just pull you across hundreds and hundreds of miles of road. The engine is powerful but low revving, so when you need the speed it's there, but it almost feels as though nothing is happening. You're just floating forwards. It's not accompanied by a thunderous orchestra like in a Quadra. It's more just a relaxing hum. The whole driving experience is accompanied by the car's baritone voice and its occasional turbo noises. The car itself almost feels like a grumpy old monarch sighing and sneering at peasants as it drives by. The car is so long and low to the ground that, at the slightest hint of a sloping crest, the Aerondight would be, well, crestfallen. And don't even bother trying to find a parking spot. The Aerondight needs its own runway. So, to answer the question, how is it to drive the Aerondight? It's like driving a car that believes itself to be more luxurious than even the most high-end train. A car that feels like it deserves more space than the biggest jetliner. It's a car that resents its surroundings and the very roads it drives on. On flat ground in a straight line, it's quite a car. Just don't ask it to do anything that it's not in the mood for. Rayfield vehicles represent what the highest-ranking individuals in Night City can acquire. The Caliburn and the Aerondight are both symbols. The apex of performance. The pinnacle of luxury. Rayfield's cars are the result of looking at human history with an unlimited budget and saying, well, yes, we could do better. The Rayfield brand is a reminder of who you are and who they are. And that's the reason why Rayfield is the brand that represents the highest echelon in Night City.